Egads. Covered with. Hey, dude. I'm gonna share something with you here. I actually have two videos in mind, but I'm gonna do the important one first. I've reloaded. I did some 38s and some other stuff, but I've reloaded the 30 M1 carbine last night. Last week or 10 days when I made the video, loaded those, went out and shot them, brought them back. Everything was fine. Went with a different, a little bit cheaper powder. But actually it takes more than the 700 I was using, so it might not be cheaper. It takes more of it. 40 bucks compared to the 70 I was spending, I think, on the 700X. I've been starting to go back to my place where I can buy powders and parts and stuff and catching stuff on sale. It's sad. I mean, in California, it's changed since the last time I checked. You have to have a California driver's license, the California ID, which it's a big pain in the butt to get. You gotta have your real birth certificate and all this other stuff in order to buy ammo in California. Or a passport. The passport is actually easier to get, in my opinion. It just takes longer. And so I'm just not going to fuss with that because I hate going through all the paperwork. But this place used to have a wall. It had to be 20 feet long, loaded with all the powders, your bullets, casings, presses, everything. Now, just a little section of wall with some stuff on it. So I'm starting to go by there once or twice a week because I'll get little things in here and there. If I got some powder I use, I buy it. If I got some bullets in, I buy it. I basically use 1, 2, 3 bullets. I might get into a 30-30 here in a bit and have to buy some of that, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that. But pretty much I know what I need. I know the stuff I use. I'm not really looking to expand into anything else. And you got to get it where you can. Sad. Anyhow, I went out and shot the 30 carbine. You take these things out, you shoot them, you got your empty case. You're going to resize this case. Right now, if I fired this out of that M1, I think it doesn't matter. I fired it out of that rifle, and it fits the inner wall. It's now the shape of the rifle. Okay. Now that's going to be a little excessive, so we'll resize it. Okay, so there's got to be a little bit of tolerance there, a little bit of gap, and then you should be able to fire this out of any 30 cal similar rifle. I also have, and this was the hand loader, my Lee hand loader. I also have the actual die. This is the last thing I bought, RCBS. I bought these probably 2 years ago. It's probably been longer than that. I'm just now getting around to using it. And so I said, okay, now I'm gonna use this thing because I've never used it before. Let's run it through there and see how we do. I could not resize this. Okay, I was going to break something here trying to resize these. And I did several. I lubed them. You know, I used the case lube. And even brand new brass was a little bit tough to get in there, but it was okay. So I had to do some research. And this is somewhat typical of the 30 cal. One, it's tapered. Oops. Meaning it's more narrow at the top than it is at the bottom. It's a tapered case. And it's also more sturdy, thicker walled at the base here. So this is more malleable than this. All right. Now I've done it this way before, but this batch you just did was really tough. So if you can see that, that's an extreme one. It's even got the ring around it now. That's an extreme one there. I got to beat the tar out of that thing to get it in there. Or I put it in a vise, squeeze it this way. Now forget about time. It takes forever to do this. I'm trying to get to my issue here that, okay, there's got to be something going wrong because it shouldn't take this long. This was I mentioned in the previous video, I was having problems with these 2-3 years ago when I was doing that, using this. And I believe it was this thing here. It was so hard after they're shot through that firearms, I got 2 of them. It was almost impossible without a vise to resize these. Did some research, actually went to just Googled it and go to the forums, this type of thing. And I think what the case is with these, there's nothing wrong with this case. There's nothing wrong with these dies. But the tolerances on these firearms, where this case is going to sit inside the barrel has just been bored too big. Not shot out. That happens further down the barrel. But the barrel, quite possibly, is just too big. And so it allows this case to expand too much. Now, can I reload these? Yes. But now it's more time consuming. I got to beat the hell out of them or put them in the vise. I don't want to mess up this die that I have. So what I'm going to do is I have 2 of these rifles, which actually was the M1 carbine is a replacement for a pistol, which is why it's using a pistol round. It was basically it was used to replace the 45, I guess. But they said it was never meant to be a rifle. It's a better range than the pistol that they had. Interesting history. Fun to shoot, very easy to shoot. I like the action on it. I like the way it cycles. It's a big Ruger 1022, only different. But if you look at it, it's the same dimensions. If you lay it down next to a Ruger 1022, it's identical. It's very, very small. My mother could shoot this. It doesn't have a lot of recoil. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another batch of these. I'm not going to resize them, because that was part of the thing about these Lee loaders, is there's not a whole lot of resizing going on, especially on the shoulder rounds. It resizes to the previous barrel it was fired through. And as long as you're going to fire it in that same gun again, you don't have to resize it. So I'm going to use that principle. Say, okay, I'm not going to resize these. It should go back into the same thing it came out of. I'll make like 5 rounds. And hopefully I don't have to jam them in, because if I do, then I know we got a bigger issue. Make a great wall ornament. But that's where I'm at on these right now. Difficult. I did some research. These are difficult for some to reload. And I think it has to do with the fact that these are universal, these rifles, which do not have a great reputation. I think he probably bought these a big 5 years ago. One of them has not been fired much. I'm going to fire. I'll run some rounds through that one next and see if I have the same issue. Then maybe it's something else. But let's say I take the other one I haven't used yet and I fire it, and they reload easier. I'll know I have an issue with that particular rifle, the previous one. But all that hassle, all that junk and figuring stuff out, God, I love that. If something like this goes smooth, it's no fun at all for me. But to have to figure these things out, this is where I get my enjoyment. Just crazy. So if this is why the Dillon thing never worked for me. The Dillon press, the 550, whatever it's called, once you got it dialed in, it's a sewing machine. It is worth every penny. I hated it. Too fast, too smooth. I think that's it. Love you. God bless.